Hi, this is Joe again with another video with another review. Instead of doing a typical movie review, I'm going to bring up a topic that unfortunately nobody has brought up in terms of videos. And there's certain movies, and I'm going to be talking about three in particular, that I saw during this visual theatrical release. And I liked it enough that when it came on video, eventually came on video, don't know what DVDs yet. And the video had scenes cut. And I don't know why the scenes were cut, but there's no explanation, and unfortunately people don't have either the attention span, even at that time, in the 80s, or even now, when the movies are coming out on DVD, that no one has brought up the fact that certain scenes that they remember seeing in the movie theater, got cut. And so I'm going to be doing that as a topic for this video. And the first movie, I'm going to do this in order of the visual release date. And the first one I'm going to be doing is the 1982 classic E.T., the Extraterrestrial, and I happen to have both. This is the 2002 DVD release for the 20th anniversary of the film, and this is the original VHS release that came out 25 years ago in October of 1988 in conjunction for Halloween for that year. And there are about two scenes that for some reason has been cut out, and one of the scenes is when it was a scene where Elliot releases the frogs, and in the science class, and what happened was he naturally got in trouble, and he got sent to the principal's office. And during the same time, E.T. was watching television, and while he's watching television, he's watching one of those old B science fiction movies from the 1950s, and the scene is that the Elliot is sitting in a chair like I am here, and the chair that he is sitting in rises, and for some reason that scene is cut out. And if any of you doubt that that scene was never in it, what I'm looking at right now, and the reason why I'm looking down is in 1982, along with conjunction with the movie, Topps, the baseball cord, a sports cord company, came out with I didn't see it with the glare, a 1980 training cord set. Let me take out the head cord. The 1982 traded set, a picture cord set, and it's an 88 cord set, and I happen to have the complete set. This is the only, and Topps did it for a few other movies too. They did it for Superman 2 and 3, the first two Indiana Jones films, the first Star Trek movie, and Star Wars episode 5 and episode 6. They also did a picture cord series, but this one's an 88 cord set. And what Topps did, these cord, I know they still do a cord set today for any movies today, but they did one. They only print out pictures, or they only made a cord of a scene that appeared in the movie. So to say that this scene does not appear in the movie, or that I'm making this up, here is the cord of the scene of Elliot in the chair in the principal's office with him rising in it. Here's the scene. Here is the scene that I'm talking about right here. This scene was in the movie. Topps made a cord of this scene, and when the movie came out in 6 years later on video, and then of course in 2002 for the 20th anniversary, this scene was cut out. Now I don't know why this was cut out. Spielberg never mentioned this scene was cut out. Unfortunately, Spielberg is so big in Hollywood that nobody called him out that why has this scene with Elliot in the chair in the principal's office rising with him in it, why was this scene cut out? was never explained. And the other scene that's cut out, see if I can find it in the court set here. There's another scene with E.T. going into the mother's bedroom, and she puts Reese's Pieces on her pillow, and that scene was also cut out. Alright, here it is. Here, there is another scene where E.T. goes into, I think it was just before Halloween, because this picture quad set was in, order of the scenes in the movie. So it's not just random scenes or behind the scenes quad set. Except for a few at the end where they have does it fill up making an 88 chord set. They have pictures of the of the cast. So here's the other scene that's been cut out of E.T. with Dee Wallace, lying in bed with E.T. When you don't really see E.T., you just see E.T.'s hand pulling the candy, the Reese's Pieces candy, which became a big. I think it was made just for the. I think it just recently came out. But the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup, the Reese's Peanut Butter Cups you used to get for Halloween to give out to the kids for trick or treating. They made like a M&M size candy, kind of like a rip off of M&M's, but instead of being milk chocolate inside, it was like a peanut butter with milk chocolate covering the peanut butter. Like an M&M's rip-offs, but it was Reese's peanut butter cups in size of M&M's. And instead of being like a mint on your pillow in the hotels, E.T. puts the Reese's Pieces on Dee Wallace, who was the actress who played the mother in the movie, sleeping, and here comes E.T. sneaking in and puts the Reese's Pieces. And now this scene, plus the scene with Elliot in the principal's office, was cut out of E.T. And when I saw the movie, and of course naturally I saw the movie was in this original theatrical release, and I liked it so much, and then when 4 years later when I got a VCR, my first VCR, we wanted to, we're waiting for E.T. to come out on DVD, and on video. Like I said, no DVDs in 1980. They didn't come out, so it came out on video, and this is the video that it came out with. And the video, of course, has this green stripe on the top of the cassette box, because there was a lot of tapping going on and a lot of copying of movies. So this is the first real video that they try and cutting down on the end of the copying of movies. And so to say that those two movies just didn't exist is a joke, because the two scenes, of course, are in the movie. They have been cut out. Here are, again, before I go on to the next movie, here are the two scenes that have been cut out of E.T., the extraterrestrial in the video and the DVD. Here's the two scenes right here. So if anybody who says that these two scenes never existed in the movie to begin with, here's the proof right here, folks. Out there in cyberspace, these are the two scenes that's cut out of E.T. from the video and the DVD. Because the DVD came out, like I said, for 2002 to celebrate the 20th anniversary of E.T. And Spielberg badly put in added scenes. And the added scenes he did for the DVD was an added scene where he was playing in the bathroom with E.T. taking a bath. He put the water on. This is how, and he explained how the water came into the house through the pipes and all that stuff. And E.T. came into the water, went to the tub and started playing around with the soda can and all that stuff, and exploded. And that scene was cut out. That scene was added, I should say. And another scene that was added for the 2002 release or re-release, they had E.T. You actually see physically E.T. jumping away from these UFO guys, in the very opening sequence. And because Spielberg redid the special effects on that, kind of like what George Lucas did with Star Wars films, and we enhanced the special effects. And well, when he did that, he decided to do that because E.T. was nothing but and that's the opening sequence. E.T. was nothing but a light on a trolley, on a roller on wheels on a track, and they just pull it along, and that's what it looks like in the movie, actually. So when they redid the special effects, they actually digitally put in E.T. digitally, and make it look like he's jumping over the branches of the trees, or over the roots of the trees, and over the bushes to get away from the fellow UFO guys. And that's what they put in this DVD. And well, it's a good DVD because it has good features in it, special features in it. But again, they didn't put in those two scenes. Those two scenes, like I mentioned, they showed the cords up, was still cut out of it. And my sister spent over like $25 just to get this DVD, because it has the two versions in it. It has this 20th anniversary version with the extra scenes in it, plus the original 1982. Here's the disc. Sorry, this is the disc of the 1982 release. And as soon as you open it up, this right here is the DVD of the. Sorry about this. Here's the DVD of the 20th anniversary edition, and this is the, right here is the DVD of the original 1982 theatrical release. And both versions have that DVD, those two scenes cut out, which is a joke. Spielberg was a joke when they messed up took those two scenes out. Well, moving on, because I don't want to go make a 3-minute video just on E.T. here. The next movie in chronological order that had a scene cut out is a 1987 movie, Moonstruck, and this is the video version, or the old VHS version with Cher, Nicolas Cage, Olympia Dukakis, Richard Gordini, which I think was his last movie role because he had a heart attack like a year or 2 years later. And I mean, it is a good movie. I'm not saying it's not a bad movie. None of these movies in this video are bad movies. But the problem with this movie is that there's a scene in here, the funniest scene in the entire movie, I feel, got cut out. And the scene that got cut out was the scene where the opening plot of Moonstruck was Cher was having dinner in a local Italian restaurant in Brooklyn, New York, which is where this movie is supposed to be based. It's in Brooklyn, New York, and it's about an Italian family in Brooklyn. Big stretch, But anyway, they had Cher's boyfriend was played by Danny Aiello, who was a great character actor, decided to propose to Cher, and we found out that after and he does propose to her. They go to dinner, and they finish dinner, and Cher is driving him to the airport because Danny Aiello's mother is dying of old age. She has, she had like cancer or something, and it wasn't really explained what she was dying of. Because it's implied that she was dying of old age and cancer or something. And he says to her, "Look, I marry you. My mother is dying. Let me take care of my mother's estate. As soon as she dies, take care of everything with the funeral arrangements and all that stuff. Let me take care of that stuff. Let me take care of her. Let me see to her, dying wishes. She's going to die, and let me be there for her. And after I come home, then we get married." She says, "Oh, okay, whatever." And when he gets to his mother's house, he calls from his mother's house, and she asks him, "Oh, did you tell her that we're getting married?" He said, "No, I didn't tell you. I'm waiting for when she's, peaceful." And the scene you see a little bit later on in the movie, where he finally gets the nerve, or Danny Aiello finally gets the nerve to tell her mother, or tell his mother, that he's not that he's going to get married to Cher. And around her bed, she's literally on her deathbed. All around her bed, she has, a doctor, and I can think like 2 doctors, a nurse, And so you had like about two or three nuns and a priest all around her bed, and when not so much the doctor and the nurses, but the three nuns and I think they had like two or three nuns and at least one priest there, and they were praying over her, and the priest was giving her her last rites. You know, as Catholic priests do when somebody is about to die, to give them the priest gives them the last rites, and they were doing all that. And as soon as the priest finished doing that, the nuns were still praying over her, but the priest was already finished giving her the last rites. That's when Danny Aiello finally decides to have the nerve to tell his mother that he's getting married. And he says, "Mom, I gotta tell you something before you pass on. I'm getting married." As soon as he says that, the mother jumps out of the bed, starts dancing on top of the bed, and she was screaming in Italian, "Hooray, my son is finally getting married, my son's finally getting married." And the nuns and the priest that was there going, "It's a miracle, it's a miracle, it's a miracle." And they're doing the sign of the cross over her. They were crossing her, and they were all going, "It's a miracle, it's a miracle." And it was like the funniest scene. And when I saw it in the theatrical release, the whole theater there, they were roaring. They were laughing hysterically over this scene. And it was the funniest scene in the film. No question about it, it was the funniest scene in the whole movie. But unfortunately, the scene when naturally, of course, we liked the movie. So the movie came out on video, I think I forgot when exactly it came out. I know it came out on video in 1980, a year after it came out. Most of it came out in 1987. I think during like the fall of 1987, and so during like April or May of '88, the movie came out on video. And like I said, there's no DVDs then, so don't jump down my throat. How come we didn't get the DVD? Well, because there's no DVDs then. And the fact is that we're waiting for that scene to come on, because I would love to see that particular scene again. It got cut, because first you see Danny Aiello in the mother's house saying, "I didn't told Cher, I got to the house fine. The flight was okay. I'm alright, and I didn't tell my mother yet that I'm getting married. I didn't tell her yet." And then he gets off the phone with Cher after he's finished with the phone call. Gets off the phone, takes out his handkerchief in his back pocket, and starts crying over his mother. His mother says, "Please, don't make it such a big deal. Don't make a big fuss." And people die all the time. So saying this in the time, so going, going like this. And then the next time you see Danny Aiello in the video is when he comes home from the airport, and he gets into the cab and goes to Cher's house. And the next thing, they completely cut out that scene. And when he does get to Cher's house, he tells Cher's mother, played by Olivia Dukakis, who won the Academy Award for her performance in this movie, along with Cher. And I think also won the Academy Award for the screenplay, I believe, the original screenplay or adapted screenplay or something. It won for 3 awards in that year, in the 1988 Academy Awards. And then he tells Olivia Dukakis what happened in the house when he was like on the verge of death, and I told him getting married, and then she starts cooking for everybody in the whole house. "You didn't see her cooking in the whole house. My father says you saw her cooking in the house." And he said, "No, you never saw her. You just see her dancing on the bed, getting excited and screaming in Italian, 'Yeah, my son is finally getting married,' and all that stuff. But you didn't see her cooking or anything else." But Danny Aiello tells Olivia Dukakis, "My mother started cooking for everyone who was in the house," and she was so excited. And now, of course, I'm not going to give away what happens at the end of the movie, but it's pretty obvious if you watch the first 10-15 minutes what's going to happen in this movie. So that's Moonstruck. The last movie that I'm going to be discussing on this particular topic of scenes that's being cut out of movies is the 1989 Tim Burton movie Batman. And yes, this is the video, the VHS version of, Batman. Here's what the back looks like if you've never seen, I think the DVD has the same thing on the back as well. It doesn't tell you what the movie's about, which kind of annoys me when you buy a video and they don't tell you what the movie's about, even though it's obvious what it's about. Well, the two scenes that were cut out of Batman. The first scene was when Batman has his first big conflict. Not really conflict. The first real fighting scene he had was when the police were going to nab the Jack Nicholson character, and he didn't turn into the Joker yet. I was saying Jack Napier didn't turn into the Joker yet, and he's at this chemical plant, which is like a front company for Jack Palance's character, and he was going to clean it out, and Jack Nicholson got set up by Jack Palance because Jack Nicholson was fooling around with Jack Palance's girlfriend, in the movie, and so because of that, Jack Palance sets up Jack Nicholson in the chemical plant. He already cleaned out the plant, Jack Palance's character did, or his goons, and it's going to set Jack Nicholson up, getting him arrested or possibly even killed by the Gotham police, who a lot of them were dirty and crooked in the film. And so Batman, Bruce Wayne heard that, because he had a party in his house and he had everything bugged, and he found out that they were going to pounce on Jack Napier, who was the original name, who was the actual name of the Joker in the Batman universe. And so Bruce Wayne, who was played by Michael Keaton, decides to go down there as Batman and grab Jack Napier for the cops, or at least for the clean cops anyway in the movie. And so they have this fight in the chemical, in the Axis Chemical, that was the name of the plant. And Jack Nicholson gets a gun and tries to shoot Batman. He deflects the bullet, but it's hit off his armor, the armor that he had on his hand, his wrist and his hand, and bounces off and hits Jack Nicholson in the face. He falls over the edge because they're on this catwalk, and below them was this big vat of chemicals, and Jack Nicholson is hanging up there, and as he's hanging up there, Batman tries to pick him up and raise him up and say, here's my hand. So he's trying to raise him, but Jack Nicholson slips and he falls into the vat. And what you do see in the theatrical release was there was a drain in the bottom of this vat. You're wondering how Jack Nicholson gets out of it. Well, he gets out of it because there was a drain in the vat, so it goes to the tubes to drain it out into Gotham River or this pond that was behind the plant. So he goes into the plant and he has like a deck of playing cards in his pocket. His character is always playing with or shuffling cards that he has in his pocket, always taking them out and shuffling them, all that stuff. And so he has this deck of cards in his hand, like when he had a deck of cards in his hand, and his cards that he had in his hand were flying out of his hand as he's going down this drain. And the last card to leave his hand was the Joker. Big shock. The Joker was the last card of the deck to leave his hand. So that's how it got picked up, because it was the last memory he had before he got out of the water. Because what you see is after Batman gets out of the chemical plant, the next thing you see is Jack Nicholson's hand coming out of this pond. You see the pond, you see these big drains that's dumping chemicals into Gotham River, or Gotham Lake, whatever it is, the lake or river. You see Jack Nicholson's hand coming out of the water like this, like a real creepy horror movie type thing, type of a scene. But you don't see him going in. And people ask, how in the world did he get into that vat? That pond. Simple. He went through. His body went through that vein, and he had the Joker was the last card in his hand. I remember that. And so when I got the video, that scene was cut out. The other scene that was cut out from Batman was a scene where I have to set up the scene. This particular scene that was cut. A scene where Jack Nicholson was talking to Kim Basinger, and there was in the museum scene. Now before Batman crashes through the ceiling, and of course Jack Nicholson comes up the line. Where does he come up with? Where does he get all those wonderful toys? This is just before then, where he is trying, where the Joker was trying to seduce Kim Basinger's character, and in the museum, and he says, she asks him, "What do you want to accomplish? Maybe you can get your story, get your story out. Cause I work with a pool. Maybe you can get your story out." And he says, "I want my face on the $1 bill." That's the setup for the scene at the end of the movie, where he has this, the parade. It's probably like a 200th birthday celebration for Gotham City, and he has this parade, and he says, "Look, I'm going to have throw $1 million into the crowd, and $1 million in $1 bills to the people of Gotham City." So as he's doing that, he's throwing all this money up in the air, and a guy who picks up a couple of dollars, picks up some of the money, he picks it up and he unfolds it, and he knows, instead of being, let's say, George Washington or Abraham Lincoln or maybe even Benjamin Franklin on the face of the bill, a dollar bill, a $100 bill, whatever denomination the Joker was passing out to the crowd, it has the Joker's face on. And this guy's going, "Hey, this is not the $1 bill, this is fake." And other people start noticing too, say, "Hey, this is fake money, this is not real money. We've been had." And that's when the Joker decides to spray his gas called Smilex gas. It wasn't even laughing gas, like in the cartoons. The joke, and especially in the animated series in the 90s, the Joker always sprayed laughing gas on people. This time he wasn't. It was like some kind of smile. It's called Smilex. When you die, you have a permanent smile on your face. He was then when people started noticing that the money was fake, he sprays his crowd with this gas that he made in the chemical plant. So those were the scenes that was cut out of Batman. Well, of course, I have a few minutes here. Instead of having, Batman, with the most famous scene that was cut out in the movie, other than the ones that I've already discussed, was the movie Fatal Attraction, which I have the video, but I don't have it with me right here to show you, which was Fatal Attraction. Now, Fatal Attraction, for those who don't know the movie, that's the Michael Douglas, Glenn Close movie, where Michael Douglas is a married man with a young daughter, has an affair with Glenn Close, or Glenn Close's character. And what happens is that in the movie, or the version that everybody knows, is when Ann Archer, who plays Michael Douglas' wife in the movie, shoots and kills Glenn Close in the bathroom in their house. Well, that's the scene that everybody knows and remembers and is familiar with. Well, people don't know was that was not the original ending. For some reason, my father ended up seeing the original ending, and when the video came out, and of course on the DVD, they changed it. What the original ending was of Fatal Attraction was the Glenn Close's character, the scene where Glenn Close takes Michael Douglas' daughter to an amusement park or something after school, and Michael Douglas goes to confront her in the apartment. They have this big fight scene in Glenn Close's apartment, and then when when Glenn Close comes out of Michael Douglas with a knife, and he grabs the knife out of her hand and he puts it on the kitchen counter, and he leaves. Nothing else happens in the fight. He leaves, and nothing else happening. Well, after when he leaves, Glenn Close picks up that same knife and kills herself. That's like in Man Butterfly, which was seen early on in the movie. We talk about Man Butterfly, and Michael Douglas remembers the scene when Man Butterfly kills herself in the opera. And that's what Glenn Close did. She kills herself after Michael Douglas leaves her for good. And so when the police found her body, they noticed that the knife had, or they dusted the knife for fingerprints, and found Michael Douglas's fingerprints on, and wanted to arrest him for murder because they think that he murdered her. Because of all the stuff that Glenn Close did in the movie. Meanwhile, the police officer, the police lieutenant that you see Michael Douglas talking to early in the movie, knows of the situation, knows that Glenn Close is crazy, or her character is crazy, and they determined that the wounds on Glenn Close's body were self-inflicted. And was one thing with Michael Douglas. That's how the movie originally ended. And with Michael Douglas not getting told to murder or anything. But the audience, when they originally tested that scene, they didn't like that the way they did it, because they felt that Glenn Close should have been killed and not killing herself. So that's why they changed the ending of that, and that's the most famous ending switch in movie history. Well, I hope you do enjoy this video. Please like the video up here. Please make any comments, or maybe subscribe to my YouTube page under Bobcat Joe Gutfeld. And this is Joe, and I hope I have the time to make another video soon. Thank you for watching.